universe is alive with monsters. Where mine shafts cut through subterranean lakes, we find this gargantuan fish-like slug with high-top, flashing winged reptiles, spitting clouds of searing flame, and the cyclopean hulks who hurl rotted slabs of stone towards the teleporting tentacle abominations, rocketing with spears and beams, fire and steel. And them, scampering repugnant vessels of precious humanity. They come with fancy of wealth and valor. They use elixirs, tricks and spells and otherworldly trinkets, and they hack and dash and cast and thrash against our teeth and wings and claws. But I can kill them, climb inside and wear their living bodies as my own. These men are mine to wield as knives and tear a hole upon the face of this abyss through which to climb and be returned upon the world. And today I slay the gatekeeper, and today I am free.
Upon first glance, Crawl might look like the classic side-scroller arcade game with its pixel art style, 8-bit sound design, and macabre theme. Crawl visually and audibly harkens back to a long past time of games, but its unique mechanics surrounding player interaction and currency systems serve to propel this game to the forefront of novel and contemporary game design. In this party game, players take on the role of a group of dungeon explorers who are tragically turned against one another. The survivor of this dark and brief free-for-all remains the living hero and attempts to traverse and escape the dungeon. Meanwhile, the fallen party members take on the form of ghouls, vile specters that occupy the various beasts and traps littered about the numerous rooms of the dungeon. Ghouls utilize these dark contraptions and hideous creatures in an attempt to fell the acting hero. Should they succeed, then their humanity is restored, and they become the current survivors. The ultimate goal of players is to reach at least level 10. The player accomplishes this through exploring the floors of the dungeon, looting, and slaying monsters, which in turn grants them XP. The player can then use gold accumulated to buy weapons and abilities at the store to adjust their stats. Players' stats are broken up into 3 distinctive parts: Vitality, Strength, and Agility. Vitality is a representation of the player's health. Strength, the player's base damage, and Agility, the base speed of the player. Gold is collected either through chests or by damaging the active hero while participating as one of the ghouls. Additionally, as the hero levels up, all other players receive a third currency called Wrath, which allows them to upgrade the monsters offered to them by the god they selected prior to the beginning of the game. Once the player reaches at least level 10, they locate the portal room, then challenge and attempt to defeat the final boss, one of the 3 large monsters that is cooperatively controlled by the fallen players. Should the hero succeed, then the run is complete. Should the hero fail, he is cast back into the dungeon with low health, and one of the 3 attempts to defeat the final boss is consumed. If all 3 attempts to defeat the final boss are squandered, then that boss is released and the hero's humanity is stolen. This effectively ends the run and even goes as far as to delete the profile of the fallen player. This adds an extra level of risk for players and incentivizes them to take a swing at the final boss as soon as they are ready. The art design in Crawl attempts and succeeds at emulating an old-school arcade game. With the inclusion of insert coin on the player select screen, it is very obvious that developers attempted to stylize their game as such. This throwback to arcade games is masterfully executed and serves the game's purpose very well, flowing seamlessly with the dynamics of the game and all coming together to create a memorable and fun player experience. Crawl has only 2 different looping music files that play while the players traverse in multiple levels. One for the majority of gameplay from room to room, and the other for once the player in control of the human has reached level 10. Whichever music is playing, it is always very frantic, making the player always feel on edge and like something is about to happen. This 8-bit style of music only adds to the nostalgia of an arcade game that the developers were trying to create for their players. Overall, Crawl thrives on pseudo-teamwork and simultaneous competition. Players' relationships are constantly readjusting to the ever-fluid and fickle situations of the game. This is what makes the game so engaging, finding yourself in high-stakes, unfair situations pitted against other people, while the nature of the game changes very little between sessions. We found ourselves eager to play more rounds and see who would come out on top. By far, the largest complaint would be the lack of online multiplayer. Despite this, Crawl remains a competitive, engaging game that is well worth your time.